The desperate call, the message arrived without warning, fracturing the peaceful atmosphere of the Zilphian Central Communications Hub. Operator Vill's 6 iridescent appendages froze above the crystalline interface as the universal distress frequency pulsed across her screen. The pattern was unmistakable, recognized by every spacefaring civilization in the charted galaxy. This is High Speaker Nalora of the Meridian Collective. We are under attack by an unknown hostile force. Our outer colonies have fallen. The enemy breaches our defenses with terrifying ease. Millions are already gone. Our weapons have no effect. Please, anyone who receives this, send help. The message repeated twice before dissolving into static. Vill's translucent skin paled, from vibrant azure to a sickly white as she forwarded the transmission to her superiors with trembling appendages. The Zilphians were not warriors, evolved on a gentle world with mild seasons and minimal predation. Their civilization had flourished through art, science, and peaceful exchange. Their vessels carried no weapons, only sophisticated sensors and communication arrays. When faced with this desperate plea from their longtime trading partners, they did what they had always done. They amplified the signal and sent it across the Galactic communication network. The message bounced through thousands of systems. Most recipients expressed sympathy but offered no action. The Meridian homeworld was nearly 4,000 light-years from the core worlds. By the time anyone organized a response, it would likely be too late. But at the very edge of charted space, the message reached a world classified as something else entirely. Earth. Designation, Deathworld. Admiral Sophia Chen stood with her, hands clasped behind her back, studying the holographic display in the command center of Frontier Station Epsilon. Around her, officers worked quietly at their stations, occasionally glancing at their commander. "Play it again," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the tension evident in her posture. The distress message from the Meridian Collective repeated. Chen had never met a Meridian personally. Few humans had encountered alien species since Earth's controversial admission to the Galactic Council just 3 years prior. But she recognized the attack pattern all too well. "Analysis?" she asked. "Lieutenant." Commander Jackson, her intelligence officer, cleared his throat. "The attack signature matches 3 similar incidents in the past 18 months, Admiral, all at the edges of known space, all resulting in complete destabilization of the defending civilization." Chen nodded. "And the Council response?" "The usual," Jackson replied, unable to keep the disgust from his voice. "They've formed an emergency assessment committee scheduled to convene in 2 weeks. Chen wasn't surprised. The Galactic Council primarily consisted of species from gentle worlds, creatures who had evolved through cooperative processes rather than the brutal survival pressures that had shaped humanity. They didn't understand the concept of immediate military intervention. "Get me Earth Command," Chen said. "Priority Alpha." The Earth Defense Council chamber was divided as military matters often were. 8 representatives from Earth's unified territories sat around a circular table, holographic displays showing the Meridian transmission and data about the previous attacks. "The Meridians are nearly 4 months away at our fastest sustainable FTL," Council Member Rivera argued. "By the time we arrive, the situation will likely be resolved one way or another. And if these attackers move on to the next system and the next," Chen countered, her image projected from Frontier Station Epsilon. "This is the 4th such attack in less than 2 years. There's a pattern forming." "We've barely gained recognition in the Council," Council Member Okafor added. "We should be cautious about unilateral military action that might alarm our new allies." Chen resisted the urge to laugh. Earth had gained recognition, yes, but not acceptance. Humans were still viewed with caution, even fear, by many galactic species. The term Deathworlder wasn't a compliment. "Let's be honest," Chen said, leaning forward. "The Council doesn't trust us because we're stronger, more adaptable, and more durable than most species out there. They see our military capability as a potential threat." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But that strength is exactly what's needed right now." The room fell silent. Chen pressed her advantage. Whatever is attacking the Meridians has overwhelmed a civilization with technology centuries ahead of our own. The Council worlds can't or won't respond with force. If we don't stop this threat out there, it might eventually reach us here. Council President Takahashi rubbed his temples. What are you proposing, Admiral? First and second strike fleets, 30 ships, 10,000 personnel. We can reach Meridian, space in 3 months, 15 days at emergency FTL. That's nearly 40% of our offensive capability, Rivera exclaimed. If this enemy can destroy the Meridians, they represent a bigger threat to Earth than anything in our neighborhood, Shen replied firmly. The debate continued for hours. In the end, pragmatism won over caution. Earth could not afford to ignore a threat of this magnitude, and the opportunity to demonstrate human value to the galaxy was too important to pass up. 2 weeks later, Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the EDF Invictus, Earth's newest battleship. At 1.5 kilometers long, it dwarfed most Council vessels. Its hull was thick enough to withstand direct asteroid impacts, and its weapon systems could reduce a small moon to rubble. To the Council species, such a ship seemed unnecessarily robust, almost barbaric. To humans, it represented the ultimate insurance policy. Through the viewports, Reyes could see the rest of the fleet assembling. A collection of cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels, each a testament to humanity's evolutionary path designed by beings who had never stopped preparing for the worst. All ships report ready, Captain, announced Commander Ibarra from the tactical station. Reyes nodded, then pressed a button on her chair, opening a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Reyes. In 5 minutes we depart on the longest journey humanity has ever undertaken. We go to the aid of a people we've never met, against an enemy we don't understand. She paused, looking around at her crew, men and women, who understood what it meant to be born on a world that had tried to kill their ancestors at every turn. The galaxy has spent decades wondering why Earth produced beings like us. Stronger, more resilient, more adaptable than most. They've feared us for these qualities. Reyes's voice hardened with conviction. Today we show them why these qualities exist. Today we prove that being born on a death world wasn't a curse, it was preparation. Throughout the fleet, 10,000 humans listened. Unlike the gentle species of the Council, they understood the harsh truth that sometimes survival required. Confrontation. They were the descendants of those who had endured ice ages, predators, disease, and their own warlike tendencies. If any force in the galaxy was prepared to face an unknown horror, it was them. Transit in 30 seconds, called the navigation officer. Reyes settled into her command chair as the massive engines powered up. Send a message to Earth Command. Operation Guardian is underway. She looked out at the stars, the same stars that had watched impassively as humanity clawed its way up from the mud. Let's show the galaxy what Deathworlders do best. The great ships vanished into FTL, leaving Earth behind. A world that had forged its children in fire and hardship, now sending them to face an enemy that had never encountered true predators before. The human fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of Zilphian space 93 days later. 30 ships appearing like dark phantoms against the backdrop of stars. The sudden arrival triggered immediate alarm throughout the local defense network. On Zilphia Station Prime, the Planetary Council gathered in emergency session. View screens displayed the human vessels, massive angular constructions of metal and composite materials. The largest was over 1 kilometer in length, its hull marked with scars from previous engagements and bristling with weapon emplacements. "They're enormous," whispered Council Leader Zeth, his delicate tendrils wavering slightly. Ambassador Vil, recently promoted after her handling of the initial distress call, stepped forward. "We requested help. The humans have answered. But we expected Council peacekeepers, not..." Zeth gestured at the screen. Vil understood the fear. The Zilphians had never seen warships of this scale. Their species had evolved in a sheltered environment with abundant resources and few threats. The concept of vessels designed specifically for combat was almost incomprehensible to them. "We should establish communication," she suggested, "before misunderstandings occur." Captain Reyes watched the small Zilfian diplomatic vessel approach the Invictus. It was elegant and graceful, with flowing lines and translucent sections that seemed to capture and redirect starlight. It was also, Reyes noted, completely unarmored, a beautiful sculpture floating through a universe full of hammers. "They're requesting permission to dock, Captain," reported Lieutenant Kim. "Granted. Adjust environmental controls in Docking Bay 3 to match Zilfian preferences." As Reyes made her way to the docking bay, she reviewed what she knew about the Zilfians. Physically fragile compared to humans, with 6 prehensile appendages, translucent skin, and large, sensitive eyes adapted for a dimmer world than Earth. Technologically advanced, particularly in communications and environmental sciences, but with almost no weapons technology. The Zilfian vessel docked with surprising precision. Reyes waited, as the bay adjusted to the visitors' environmental needs, watching as the ship's boarding ramp extended. Ambassador Vil emerged first, flanked by 2 aides. Reyes immediately noticed her cautious movements. Even at reduced levels, the gravity was challenging for her. Her skin glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed slightly with each step. Reyes stepped forward and bowed slightly, careful not to tower over the ambassador. At 180 centimeters tall, she was massive compared to the Zilfian, who barely reached 130 centimeters. "Ambassador Vil, I'm Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. We received your relay of the Meridian distress call." Vil's large violet eyes studied Reyes with undisguised wonder and apprehension. "Captain, your response is unexpected. The Council informed us that Earth is extremely distant from our sector. 3 months at emergency FTL," Reyes confirmed, "but we believed the situation warranted immediate action." Vil seemed to struggle with the concept. "You traveled for a quarter of a standard year based on a distress call from a species you've never met?" Reyes's expression remained neutral. "We recognize the attack pattern. This isn't the first time this enemy has struck. We have reason to believe they won't stop with the Meridians." The meeting continued in a conference room adjusted for Zilfian comfort. Reyes had brought her senior officers, while Vile was accompanied by scientific and diplomatic advisors. The humans towered over the aliens, their movements careful and restrained to avoid alarming their hosts. "The Meridians were attacked 2 standard months ago," Vile explained, activating a holographic display. "Their outer colonies fell within days. Their homeworld has been under siege for the past 6 weeks. The display showed a garden world much like the Zilfian homeworld, gentle, beautiful, and now partially in ruins. The attacking ships were organic-looking, with irregular shapes and pulsating lights along their hulls. We know very little about the attackers," Vale continued. "The Meridians call them the Void Harvesters. They appear to use some form of psychic weapon that incapacitates most sentient beings. The victims experience total neural collapse before death." Commander Ibarra leaned forward, studying the images. "Psychic weapons targeting neural systems?" "Yes," confirmed one of Vil's scientific advisors. "The weapon appears to overload neural pathways, causing system-wide failure. Most Council species have similar neural structures, making us all vulnerable." Reyes exchanged glances with her officers. "Human neurophysiology is significantly different from Council standards. Our nervous systems evolved on a high-gravity world with constant environmental threats." The Zilfian scientist blinked rapidly, their version of surprise. "You believe humans might be resistant?" "It's possible," Reyes said cautiously. "We won't know until we encounter them." The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from the fleet's outer patrol. "Captain," Lieutenant Kim's voice came through clearly. "Sensors have detected an unidentified vessel approaching at high speed. It matches the configuration of the Void Harvester ships from the Zilfian data." Reyes stood immediately. "They've found us. Ambassador, please return to your vessel. We'll continue this discussion after we've dealt with our visitor." The Zilfians looked alarmed but complied quickly. As they departed, Commander Ibarra moved closer to Reyes. "Perfect timing," she murmured. "Now we get to test our theory about their weapons." Reyes nodded, her expression grim. "And they get to learn what happens when you hunt in predator territory." Predators meet predators, the Void Harvester scout. Ship approached aggressively, its organic hull pulsing with crimson light. It was smaller than the Invictus but still formidable, approximately the size of a human destroyer. Its irregular form reminded Captain Reyes of deep-sea creatures from Earth's oceans, beautiful in its alienness, but unmistakably predatory. "They're scanning us," reported Lieutenant Kim from the sensor station. Unusual energy patterns detected. Reyes watched the main view screen intently. That would be their psychic weapon charging. All personnel prepare for possible neural attack. Moments later, a wave of energy washed over the human fleet. On the bridge of the Invictus, several officers winced, pressing hands to their temples. Reyes herself felt a sharp headache bloom behind her eyes, uncomfortable but manageable. "Status report," she demanded, fighting through the discomfort. "All ships reporting similar effects, Captain," Kim called out. "Mild to moderate headaches, some disorientation, but all systems and personnel remain functional." Reyes allowed herself a grim smile. "As we suspected, their primary weapon is less effective against human physiology." She turned to tactical. "Target their propulsion systems. Let's send a message." The Invictus's main batteries fired once. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through the Void Harvester vessel's hull, disabling its engines with surgical precision. "They're attempting to redirect power to weapons," reported Commander Ibarra. "End it," Reyes ordered simply. A second volley struck the alien ship, this time targeting critical systems. The Void Harvester vessel erupted in a series of explosions before breaking apart in a cloud of organic debris and crystalline shards. In the sudden silence that followed, Reyes studied the debris field. Their first direct contact with the Void Harvesters had lasted less than 5 minutes. "Open a channel to all ships," Reyes commanded. When the channel was ready, she spoke clearly, knowing her words would define their mission moving forward. "This is Captain Reyes. We have confirmed that the Void Harvester's psychic weapons have limited effect on humans. We've also confirmed that our weapons are effective against their ships." She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. "The Void Harvesters have been preying on vulnerable species across this sector. They thought they found easy targets. They've never met predators before. Throughout the fleet, humans from Earth evolved through millions of years of survival on one of the galaxy's most dangerous worlds, prepared for battle. What the Council feared in them would now become their greatest hope. Set course for the Meridian homeworld. We hunt." The Meridian homeworld hung in space like a wounded jewel. Once a vibrant green and blue planet with sprawling cities of crystal and light, it now bore the scars of invasion. Massive fires were visible even from orbit, blackening entire continents. The Void Harvester fleet surrounded the planet, over 70 organic ships pulsing with malevolent energy. From the bridge of the Invictus, Captain Reyes surveyed the battlefield. Behind her, Ambassador Vil made a soft sound of distress. "We're too late," she whispered. "No," Reyes said firmly. "There are still millions alive on the surface. Their central cities are holding, but they won't last much longer without help." The captain turned to her tactical officer. "Implement Battle Plan Thunderhead. All ships to assume attack formation Delta." Throughout the human fleet, crews moved, with practiced efficiency. The larger battleships and cruisers formed a spear-like formation, with the destroyers flanking them as protective screens. The Invictus took position at the tip of the spear. Reyes opened a fleet-wide channel. "The enemy outnumbers us more than 2 to 1. They've never faced humans before. Let's make sure they remember this encounter." She paused. "Weapons free. Engage." The human fleet accelerated toward the Void Harvester armada. It was a direct frontal assault, a tactic that horrified the watching Zilfian advisors. "They can't possibly," Vil began, but the humans could. The Invictus struck first, its main cannons firing in perfect sequence. Beams of blinding energy tore through the nearest Void Harvester vessel, reducing it to floating debris. The rest of the human fleet followed suit, targeting the largest enemy ships with concentrated fire. The Void Harvesters responded immediately, their ships breaking, formation to counter the human attack. Waves of psychic energy washed over the human fleet. But as with the scout ship encounter, The weapons proved far less effective than against other species. Humans experienced pain, disorientation, and in some cases temporary neural feedback, but remained conscious and functional. They're adapting, Commander Ibarra noted as the tactical display showed void harvester vessels switching to more conventional weapons, energy beams and projectiles. Reyes nodded. As expected, now we see what they're really capable of. High Speaker Nalora stepped forward, placing a four-fingered hand on Reyes's arm. The Meridian Collective formally requests a defensive alliance with Earth. We have technology and knowledge to share. You have strength and courage we desperately need. Behind them, Ambassador Vil made a soft, surprised sound. Such an alliance would fundamentally alter the power dynamics in this sector of space. The Council would be furious. Reyes smiled. I believe that can be arranged. As the Invictus prepared to return to Earth, Reyes stood at the viewport in her quarters watching the stars. Ambassador Vil had joined her, the Zilfian unusually quiet as she processed the events of the past week. The galaxy will never see humans the same way again, Vil finally said. The term Deathworlder will take on new meaning. Is that a bad thing? Reyes asked. Vil's skin pulsed with thoughtful purple. I don't know. Change is always frightening, but perhaps fear of humans was misplaced. Perhaps what the galaxy needed was not more peace lovers, but more protectors. Reyes turned to face the ambassador. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy, Ambassador. We just want to survive in it. And we want the same for our allies. Even so, Vil replied, word of what happened here will spread. Other threatened species will call for Earth's help. The Council will resist this shift in power. Let them, Reyes said simply. The Void Harvesters won't be the last predators to emerge from the dark. The galaxy needs defenders willing to fight. She looked back at the stars, the same stars that had witnessed humanity's long, brutal climb from primitive hunters to spacefaring warriors. We were born on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived. We adapted. We overcame. Her voice softened slightly. If that making us Deathworlders means we can protect others who weren't so tested, then we'll wear the name. With pride. As the Invictus jumped to FTL, carrying news of victory back to Earth, the message had already begun spreading throughout the galaxy. When the gentle worlds of the Council could offer nothing but words, the Deathworlders had answered with action, and the Predators had learned, too late, that they were no longer at the top of the food chain.